ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the
DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and welcome to the Thursday edition of the Midday Market Report with good friend and colleague, Mr. Matt Grissom. Go follow him at Grissom on X, and of course the NCAA Insiders. We're going to go and do what we do every week. We're going to do a little recap of Week 12, what Mr. Grissom saw, how the model is doing, update on the Westgate Superbook card, his reaction to the playoffs as we're getting closer here. Kind of a calm before the storm, as next weekend, of course, Turkey Day. So we're going to talk to Matt if we're going to come on Wednesday or figure that out. But again, the big rivalry games that could say a lot, and the big game where I think SEC fans are kind of a little nervous about is what if Michigan beats Ohio State. Right now, Ohio State 13-point favorites in rivalry games. Hey, I've been a part of them. We're having a bad year, but in comes our arch nemesis. This is our Super Bowl, and Michigan has a chance with a win at Maryland, and of course to beat Ohio State to get in there, and that most likely would take away a team from the SEC. So, without further ado, let's bring him in, Mr. Matt Grissom. What's up, Matty?
Adjusting my lights a little bit. How are you, Jeff?
I'm doing great, thank you. I don't want to say a crazy week. I guess, the thought process. Let's start here. What did your eyes see last weekend in college football?
Texas A&M getting away with that win after going down 30-3.
It was your tweet. It was your tweet that they saw at halftime.
Given my BYU tweet a couple years ago that landed me on the freezing cold takes, that very well could have been the case. But I still don't believe in this A&M team. But at the end of the day, they're an undefeated team in the SEC. You got to put them there, top 4 in the college football playoff. I think they showed a lot of their flaws, though. I mean, you look at a couple of these scores now, you struggle on defense against Arkansas. South Carolina put up a lot of points. I just don't think when you stack them up to Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon, you can look at this A&M team and say, yep, they belong. I'm just not seeing it. And quite frankly, there's not a team in the SEC that I say stack up against them.
Well, I'm going to say there's a team flying under the radar. We talked about them last week, and we had their team total first half, their team total full game, over 35.5, and they scored 38 in the first half, and that's Texas Tech. And here's a team that I think's flying under the radar for the general public. Their defense, I'm going to use the word as elite. They have one of the better defenses. I'm not saying Ohio State defense, but they have a great defense and they can score. Now, how would they match up against Ohio State or Indiana or some of the power? Let's say Georgia, because Georgia seems to be ascending, and I think that's everyone's little darling there. What about your thoughts on the Red Raiders of Texas Tech?
Yeah, they're number 1 or number 2 in all of our defensive metrics. I love Texas Tech. The thing that is hurting them most right now is strength of schedule. I think they're 52nd. We saw the playoff committee put out Tulane versus Texas Tech if that happened to be the first round game. We make Texas Tech minus 24 in that one. And then assuming that it's Texas Tech and Georgia, the game that you just asked me about, got a little hypothetical line here. This is how much the model does not believe in Georgia. We make Texas Tech 8.5 point favorite in that one. And we know Vegas will make Georgia the heavy favorite in that. Georgia's metrics just don't line up.
The funny thing is, if Georgia was 8.5 point favorites, the public would still run to the window and bet Georgia.
Probably so. Yeah. Yeah. This Texas Tech team is legit. They really control the line of scrimmage with that defensive line. Dickey can suck the air out of the ball when he wants to keep it on the ground. And Baron Morton, as long as he's healthy, they can move the ball through the air. So, I mean, you're talking about an offense that is truly balanced in rush pass, and then a defense that is dominant in both against the pass and the rush. If they can continue to do it, which they've done it all year, they did lose at Arizona State without Baron Morton. They actually started, I think, their third string quarterback there who had to come in for the injured Will Hammond. But yeah, Texas Tech, to me, legit. I think given the rematch of BYU in the Big 12 championship, they roll them all over again.
Well, the big drop, Alabama. There were two games last week that I thought one would win and one would lose, and I was exactly, of course, the opposite. I thought Alabama would find a way at home with Ty Simpson to beat Oklahoma, and I honestly thought I was drinking the whatever Kool-Aid from Texas. I thought they were, and it was the exact opposite. Say we can put a fork in Texas, and actually, there's some people out there that still think they have a shot in there, which is comical. But Oklahoma, Mateer, go into Alabama and kind of dominate that game, and now you've seen an Alabama team slide to 10, and actually Notre Dame in front of them now.
Yeah, and this was one of those where I had to bet both of them. I knew that one of the two was going to happen. Either Texas was going to beat Georgia, Oklahoma was going to beat Alabama. I ended up on both dogs. One of them cashed, one did not. It happened to be Oklahoma, though, and this actually makes sense because looking at the metrics, I feel like a couple weeks ago I told you I'm really scratching my head at this Alabama team because how in the world could Alabama be bottom 10 in anything in the country? Yet they are. Their rush offense is 121st, so not bottom 10, bottom 15, 121st in the country. And guess what happens against Oklahoma, who has the 11th ranked pass defense, when you have Ty Simpson, who looks really good, but you make him throw the ball because Oklahoma is shutting down your already non-existent run game? You're going to get beat. You could look at the box score and say, my Lord, how did Alabama lose this game? Because Oklahoma didn't have to do much on offense. I think John Mateer threw for like 150 yards. It was the Ty Simpson turnover and Oklahoma just being able to dictate the pace of that game because Alabama can't run the football.
Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news to Roll Tide fans. You're no luck at this point because there's a team next Friday or Saturday called Auburn that could actually, I'll say it out loud, end the Alabama season.
Yeah, they very well could. What is that game at Auburn?
It's at Auburn. I don't think they'll be lining up for any 60-yard field goals either.
No, doubtful. I am curious, though, what that line would be.
I thought I saw Alabama 4.5, maybe.
Makes sense. Alabama. Market likes Alabama.
Westgate Super Contest. How'd you do
Yeah.
last week?
I went 5-2 in my entry. The other entry went 4-3. It sucks because we're further ahead in the other entry with Sean Alvarez and I. But I've really kind of been on a heater here with mine lately. And then too little too late, the VSiN contest. Finally had my first sweep, 7-0 last weekend. Model's doing great. I think it was 33. Trying to think off the top of my head because I forgot to write it down. 33, 19, and 1 against the spread last week. So we're picking just a little over 60% winners. So far, 4-1 this week on the midweeks. So hope everybody is taking advantage of those. If you don't know where to see all those simulations, go to mattgrissom.com or in my Twitter bio. You can click that link and go to Weekly Sims.
Let's talk some SEC. Before we stay in football, give us an update on your Razorbacks hoop team.
Couple really close, scary wins, I guess. You had, trying to think who just came to town. Small school, not Bucknell.
Oh, it was small and big favorites, and you kind of sort of won in the last 10 seconds. And Coach Cal goes, I guess we're going to go back to 8th grade ball and pass the ball 5
just
times.
Pass it 5 times. Yeah, and then Samford was the other one, but that's going to drive me crazy that I can't. Winthrop, which Winthrop's kind of been a tournament team here and there over the last decade or two. So not terrible, but definitely not what you expect out of a Calipari team who went on the road to Michigan State, lost by 3. Meanwhile, his new replacement there at Kentucky, I think they just lost by 30. So there's been a lot of Kentucky, Arkansas back and forth, like, ha, we have your coach. I don't really get it, but whatever. It's entertaining, to say the least. I finally got that pulled up, though. We make Alabama -5 over Auburn. So that tracks. I was going to say, though, because I know Auburn's got a really good rush defense, and they can move the ball on the ground offensively through the run, not so much the pass. And that's Alabama's weakness, obviously, that we talked about. Strength, though, is against the pass. So this may just be a run-heavy game. Just throw in some bad cold weather, and let's get real nasty and bet the under.
For all the UConn haters, UConn falls to Arizona last night. Had a chance to go to the game. I decided I'm not going to take the 2+ hour drive up there. I'll sit home and watch it front row from the couch, and no Reed and their star freshman that they're still waiting for. So UConn gets their first loss. Big win for Arizona. They got 3 huge wins already this season, all on the road, and the Wildcats are cooking, Matt.
Yeah, I got to see Hurley get pissed off and eye down a reporter and rip a sheet of paper over the 3-point loss. So are y'all back to liking him, or is he still just kind of the most hated coach in America? I don't know.
Well, I'll be honest. The back-to-back championships were phenomenal, and then I think he took it to the next level. He goes out to the Lakers to quote unquote look at their job offer, comes back, squeezes UConn for more money. I thought his arrogance and his pompous and his ego got the best of him last year. I did not like that Hurley. So hopefully he can kind of come back to reality here. He's got a good team, Matt. What you're seeing now is nothing what you're going to see in February and March. And listen, this is what I've said since Jump Street. I'll say it again. They're a second weekend team, whether that means Elite 8, Final 4. They lost second game last year to Florida, who eventually cut the nets down. But they got the strong guard play. They got Caravan back. They got some bigs. They're going to be a team to contend against.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're one of the most trustworthy teams. I say that like last year, I remember they They didn't really cover a whole lot of games, but they were always in every game. But once it came tournament time, pretty much covering machine. I think there's several teams this year that are going to be in that situation. And then I'd keep an eye out for Michigan State. I think they're a very young, very good team.
Before we get into your Westgate card here, Arkansas 9.5 right now against Texas. Texas next week's got A&M, so that will be their Super Bowl. Temperature in the room for Arkansas football. We know they're going to be, well, I should say they're going to face a tough defense. It'll be kind of interesting here. Let me see if I can pull it up for you and get your take on it here. Let me see here. Texas, Arkansas here. Your team total over 23.5 with a minus 123. Texas at 33.5 over 126. Expecting some scores on both sides, or is the defense from Texas going to slow you guys down?
I don't think the defense is going to slow them down much. The one thing that I'm curious to see is, can this Arkansas team get up off the mat once again? This is either going to be the game where they let go of the rope and they get blown out in a pissed off Texas spot, coming off getting embarrassed by Georgia. Now you got to go win these last two, show the playoff committee you deserve to be in, even though they ain't getting in. I do think if Arkansas is going to be able to upset them, it's got to be one of those games that they find themselves in time and time again, where it's fourth quarter, somebody's got to make a play. And if it gets to that point, then we know that it's a one-score game. They're covering. We make this line Texas minus 7.1. I am on Arkansas plus 10.5. If you can't get the 10, and you want to bet Arkansas, make sure you get it better than 8.5. That's all I have to say. 10 probably better. I don't know though. I was there in person last year when Texas came to town, whooped our butt in Fayetteville. Bobby's got the team playing hard despite continuously losing in the fourth quarter. I will not be surprised, though, if you see Texas take a 7-0 lead and Arkansas punt the next drive. Live bet Texas, because it is only going one way. They've let go of the rope. In every other game that Arkansas has been in, they've either scored first or they've responded with a score immediately. They are not a team that's built to come back. So if they go down 2 scores, it's over. They're already thinking about the offseason.
We got a Q Millie special here, Tennessee versus Florida. And before we get into that game, Matt, coaching carousel, we finally found out Mr. James Franklin going to Virginia Tech. Is Lane staying? Is he leaving? They've kind of left an ultimatum. They need to know before the Egg Bowl. Was it Summerall was heading to Florida for an interview? Said, nah, I'm all set. What are you seeing, hearing going on in the coaching carousel?
Men lie, women lie, coaches lie. Way more. Lane's probably staying put, if you want my gut reaction to that. I've heard that the ultimatum, actually heard from Lane Kiffin on the interview there, that was not true. There was no ultimatum. I think he's having fun. I think he's got his daughter, his son, his ex-wife. They may be back together. They're all there in Oxford. I think it's been good for him. I don't know that there's, Clay Travis used to make the comment that you reach a certain point where you've made so much money that more money doesn't change your lifestyle. What more does Lane want? Like what else is there to achieve that he can't just do in Oxford? And yeah, you can say the recruiting is probably better in Gainesville or Baton Rouge, but not next year, not for 2 years, maybe 3. Can he get LSU to a 12-0 team in 3 years? Probably, but he can do that at Ole Miss. And for the people that say, no, he can't, Absolutely, you can. Ole Miss is just as much of a powerhouse as LSU and Florida is right now. Right now.
Are they in?
Here's my spill.
Are they in?
They went out, they will be.
Well, they got. I know usually they got Mississippi State. Where are they in the SEC chain?
Are you saying standings wise, or are you saying like my opinion of them?
Well. In other words, you said if they win out, they're in the top 12 as
Yeah,
we
it'll be
speak.
10-2 or 11-1. Hang on. Yeah, they'll be 11-1. They're 6-1 in the SEC. They'll be 7-1 beating Mississippi State. Assuming they beat Mississippi State, who's 1-6. Yeah, I mean, you've got A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss. Alabama's sitting there at 6-1, but with 2 losses.
So as it sits right now, Matt, who would be in the SEC championship game a couple weeks from now?
Texas A&M, Georgia.
Texas A&M and Georgia. Okay. So if Texas picks off A&M, who slides in their spot?
If Texas kicks out A&M.
Yep. Well,
I still
A&M
think
would
it would
only
be-
have one loss.
Yeah, I still think it would be A&M.
Okay.
Because I think it's win-loss in conference and then it's overall. So they would essentially all be 11-1, and then it goes to head-to-heads. Georgia beat Ole Miss head-to-head. A&M has not played Georgia. So I think you're going to get Georgia A&M regardless.
Okay. And so even if A&M loses to Texas and then loses to Georgia in the SEC title game, they'll have 2 losses. And that's the tough thing as well. Don't forget last year, Ohio State didn't even make it to the Big Ten championship. It almost sets up, it's kind of eerie, because what better than the Big Ten sticking it to the SEC? Hey, Ohio State, wink, wink, lose. Let's get Michigan in there. Let's get another team into the Big Ten. And you did it last year. Yeah, you got to they'll probably give up their bye then. They'll slip them to 5th or something. But the SEC could be odd man looking out.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's going to get screwed from the SEC because you have the 3 we just named in A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss, and then you have Alabama, who has Eastern Illinois and Auburn remaining. They would be sitting at 10-2. And then you have Oklahoma, who could be sitting at 10-2 with wins over Missouri and LSU, both doable, both at home. And then you have Vanderbilt, who's sitting at 8-2 with games against Kentucky and Tennessee. Those are both winnable games. What if Vandy, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Alabama, or not Ole Miss, Alabama, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, all sitting at 10-2? Who gets in at that point? I have no doubt in my mind that the committee is going to just pave the way for Alabama.
Well, you have a sticking point there because Oklahoma just beat them. So that means they both have to get in there then.
Alabama beat Georgia.
But okay, so we've been talking all year. Miami beat Notre Dame. And this is what I hate, the chicken and the egg.
And this is exactly why And Tim Murray and Matt Humans, they were talking there. Mario Cristobal does it every year. Miami, hello, pave the way. This was my spill last year, though, with Ole Miss, is you can lose 1. Don't lose 2. Miami made the mistake. They lost to Louisville, and then they followed up by losing to SMU. That second loss is probably what keeps them from being in the college football playoff, just like Ole Miss's 3rd loss last year did. And they lost to like LSU, Kentucky, and somebody else. But Ole Miss was supposed to be a playoff team. Like, you can't get that other loss. And that's what Mario Cristobal and this Miami team did. Is Miami going to run the table now? Probably. They're outscoring opponents 141-50 over their last 4 games since that Louisville loss. That includes a loss to SMU. They're coming out with their hair on fire. They're going to score 35 to 42 this weekend. They'll cover, I think, minus 16 or whatever they're laying right now. That going into that little preview, that's one of my best bets. But yeah, the playoff committee has their hands full with this because everybody that you can make a case for, I feel like you can make an opposite case that, well, they lost to so-and-so, or, well, they beat so-and-so who's in.
Well, we can't wait. Again, this weekend is almost like the calm before the storm. And listen, as you said in the SEC title game, it looks like it's Georgia and A&M. It's a wrap. I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, Georgia Tech is not going to just roll over and die next week for Georgia.
I hope not. They gave them a hell of a game last year.
Yep. And again, A&M, Texas. I mean, there's those rivalry games, Alabama, Auburn, that just because you're having a lot better year than these other teams rise to the occasion in this. This is hey, we're not going to the playoffs. We're going to the Egg Bowl. I mean, we're going to the Mayo Bowl or the Cheez-It Bowl or whatever, the Toilet Bowl. But let's knock Alabama out, or let's make them sweat.
Yeah. Well, and Miami doesn't have a clear pathway. I mean, they're at Virginia Tech, and then they finish at Pitt, who's coming off getting embarrassed, I guess, by Notre Dame. But they're, again, that first game of the season, 27-24 win over Notre Dame. And then what did Notre Dame do from there? Lost to A&M, who that was a great game, 41-40. And now A&M's undefeated. So should Notre Dame get in? Absolutely, if they go 10-2. Should Miami get in if they go 10-2? Yeah.
It's also sometimes when you lose. So like you said, Notre Dame.
100%. The easy thing is if Pitt upsets Miami, Miami's shown the door.
Well, last year, Notre Dame wins at A&M, then 28-point favorites, loses at home to Northern Illinois, then they sheet. This year, they lose at Miami by a field goal. They lose by 1 to A&M at home. Now they've sheet. Miami, on the other hand, has some hiccups. And, oh, by the way, last game of the year, just beat Syracuse when you're 13-point favorites at the Dome and was up 40-23, by the way. And then they got outscored like 27-0 in the second half. So that's the one team. Cristobal and the Hurricanes, I would not be shocked if Pitt shows them the door the last game of the year.
It would be funny. I doubt it happens, though, because we're going to get total chaos back and forth of, all right, we have all these 10-2 teams jumbled up. Who gets in? Who's most deserving? Who has the best resume? I don't even know what the playoff committee looks at anymore.
They don't either. No, don't worry, though, because as soon as the final 12 are announced, there's going to be 4 to 6 teams that get screwed. Therefore, the hell with the 16-team tournament. We're going to 24 next year. The hell with it.
Yeah, exactly. Right now, they have what? Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, A&M 3, Georgia 4.
Pretty rock solid.
I'm just not buying Georgia.
No, I get it. They don't have that defense that they used to have. They don't have Brock Bowers there. Their wide receivers don't get separation like they used to. And so I think, you can only – the intro and the Georgia swag and all that can only take you so far. Hey, they'll be 23-point favorites over Tulane opening week. Good for them, or second week, whatever. My point is – sooner or later, the rubber has to hit the road. And what I have seen defensively from Ohio State, from Indiana, from Texas Tech, that Texas Tech is my little darling. That's the one that I want to see where they get positioned and who do they get screwed by. In other words, who are they going to have to face and sleep on Texas Tech? I dare you.
Yeah, I love Texas Tech. If they get matched up against Georgia, I think Baron Morton could have a day, and I think their defensive line is going to harass Gunnar Stockton and that Georgia offense. I think we've gotten so accustomed to just paying a tax on like your Georgias and your Texas and Alabama, but that's not necessary this year. These teams are not as dominant as they typically are. So and I say that coming off, fading Georgia last week, which whatever, I've got egg on my face, I guess, but I'm just not buying the legitimacy of that. And it may not show up week in and week out in SEC versus SEC, but once we get in these playoffs, I bet it does.
Well, let's go flip the switch, that time of the spot and the show here. What are you eyeing in the Westgate Supercard?
I'm going to fade Georgia once again. I'm not saying Charlotte is going to be able to pull the upset as a 44.5-point dog, but a little bird told me that Kirby Smart in spreads where he's 38 points or better is like 0-16 against the spread. So Charlotte 49ers, hold your nose. This team sucks. And I feel like I can say that with the utmost respect. And as a fan of a probably end up being 2-10 Arkansas team. So Charlotte 49ers plus 44 on the card, highlighting right now. I already told you about Miami. I think they cover easily against Virginia Tech. They're laying -18 in the card. They opened -16 in the circa opening lines on Sunday. All right, Jeff, we talk about it every week. I feel like UConn Huskies. They didn't do it last week. Didn't they lose?
No.
They didn't cover.
They didn't. I listen. I actually did they get backdoored because they scored late and were covering, and I was thinking of you the whole time. Last week, NCAA football.
Oh no! They did cover.
Yeah, they scored
it
late.
Opened 8.5, closed 7.5. They covered. Okay, I was thinking that they did not cover a game, but I may not have bet on them. I can't remember. I think I've been on them every single week. -7, Florida Atlantic.
A team total 37.5. Florida Atlantic 30.5. Listen, Mora, I'm telling you, some of these. I'm not saying LSU. I'm not saying Florida. But there's going to be some people knocking on Jim Mora's door after what he has done to turn around UConn here. I'll say this. I think they get over 37.5 points, so I'll take the plus 106 there. I do think they get into the 40s. How do they do defensively? I think this is one of these 3 o'clock games. They roll the ball out. Hey, first one to 38, first one to 40 wins. UConn wins. My question is, do they cover? I think they can score enough against this defense, but it smells trappy to me, Matt.
Yeah,
that's
me too. And I thought the model was going to love UConn because it has every single week. Actually, only makes UConn favored by 5.5. Got them winning 37-31-ish right now. So that's your team total. Contest line is dead 7. I have way too many pushes in this contest to bet that one. Florida, Tennessee. This is one that I don't get which Florida shows up because it looks like they've mailed it in. But Tennessee, Tim Murray talking about who have they beaten? Who's Tennessee's best win? And it may be Kentucky. I mean, they're kind of a paper tiger. But I've got to believe that Tennessee is the better team here. But they have not have not won in Gainesville since 08 or something.
Matt, I talked on the show the 4 years Peyton Manning was there. Every year I bet the Vols against the Gators. I said, hey, Peyton, you owe me a lot of money. Can you send some? I'm dying over here. They just can't. I'm telling you right now, the Vols can't beat they can't beat the Gators.
That is one of those things that if the market's telling you to bet it, bet it. I'll probably end up on Florida +4, and I'll hate that, but it is what it is. I think DJ Lagway is getting a receiver back healthy. Arkansas is down to +9. Like I said, if you can get this within that one-score game, I don't care if it's a 8.5 to cover your touchdown and a 2-point conversion. I think they play them close with the way that this Arkansas team has been playing and covering, especially on the road. But I'm telling you right now, there's a little asterisk beside that bet. If Arkansas goes down 7-0 and you see them punting, live bet Texas. I don't care if the spread is 13.5, 14.5, 17.5, 19.5. Arkansas will get steamrolled because the team has let go of the rope. All right, another team. For some reason, this model loves every single week, I feel like, Washington. And this is so maddening because the weeks that I have bet on this Washington Huskies team, they don't cover. They still win, but they win by like a last-second field goal when the spread was 28 or something. They are laying in this. Look it up. UCLA, they're laying 11 on the circa opening line. It is 10.5 in the contest. Do you know what the model makes this? Washington by 21. Why? I've got to take it. It's one of the most confident picks. But again, could Washington be a paper tiger that I'm just missing? Absolutely. Tread lightly with that. The only thing that I can say with this Washington UCLA matchup, as I sit here and pull it up on the fly, is Washington offense 11th in the country. UCLA defense 123rd. Can we just get this over with early? Like, can Washington just jump out to a 24-0 lead at halftime and then just coast? Maybe. If they find themselves in another close game, though, I'm probably screwed once again because Washington doesn't cover spreads. All right, so I think that's about 4 or 5 picks that we've gotten through here. Thank you for your patience while I do this. I feel like it's more entertaining when I do it on the fly like this. You see it. Talk to me about Utah, Colorado. No, that's Kansas State, the lines. 17.5. Isn't Utah the second best team in the Big 12? Don't come at me with BYU is. It's Texas Tech, Utah.
We had Utah team total. We went 5-0 on team totals last week, and Utah was our cherry on top. I'm looking at their team total. Give me a second here today. 34.5. You can get. You got to lay 12 cents. 17.5 on the Kansas State. I do like K-State team total under the 17.5. There are some 16.5s there. Utah can call their own score. That's the way I look at it. I think that they can get more than 34.5. I think they rolled, Matt, here. I do.
Yeah, I think so too. This Kansas State team has not been very good. Had a lot of high hopes coming into it, but Utah over their last 3 games, 53 against Colorado, 45 against Cincinnati, 55 against Baylor. They are just absolutely obliterating people. The model makes this 37 to 17.5. That's Utah by 19.5. We've only got to lay 16.5, 17.5 the contest. I'm just going to continue to roll Utah. I trust them. They're 3rd in offensive rush, 49th in pass. You're taking on a defense that ranks 68th in Kansas State. And we know how good the offensive front is for Utah. Dampier is going to be able to move the ball. It's a really fun, high-powered offense, and Kansas State doesn't have the defense that's going to be able to slow them down. So love that play also. So we've got Miami, Utah, Washington, Arkansas, Charlotte, Need a couple more. As I sit here and eye a few more, what are some other matchups that you're excited to watch this weekend?
Let me look down here, see some numbers that don't make any sense to me.
I did say maybe Florida plus 4.5.
What do you think of New Mexico this week? It did open a pick, and now New Mexico's 3.5 at Air Force.
The service academies worry me.
Okay. If we're looking for style points, Syracuse won't be able to score. Notre Dame, it's a 51.5 now, 50 with a 35. I mean, Notre Dame's going to score 40 plus. I mean, I'd be shocked if Syracuse got more than 7, if 7. I think they're in the maybe 1 or 2 field goal range, and I think Notre Dame scores 40, 45. They can call their score here.
Yeah. You said New Mexico's flip. Now they're the favorite.
It was a pick with a 59. Now it's a 55 at the Circa, and they're favored by 3.5. They're going to be able to score early and often. Let me see what their team total is here.
Assuming around 32.5, 33.
Yeah, there's some 30.5s, there's some 29.5s. I think they get, 30, 31, 33, 34. The problem is, can Air Force play keep away? That's the only thing that scares me there.
This was one of the early lanes. Circa opened Air Force -1. Model has New Mexico -5.7. So now it's closer in line with that. One interesting one, South Carolina -16.2 over Coastal. You can get Coastal Carolina plus 24. Another one of those like Charlotte, just let's bet on the bad team to keep it close.
South Carolina, didn't they have their Super Bowl last week?
Yep. And you lose, and now it's just kind of all downhill. Toledo -23. We make them 30.1. Just looking at the biggest edges, Iowa -21. They're -14 against Michigan State. Again, this is all on Circa's opening numbers. So tell me what those current lines are. I was up to -17 in the contest. So still likes it a little bit. This is pathetic, though, for the SEC to have this week where you have non-conference games against junior colleges. Like, why? Why are we doing this? This is so bad.
I don't know.
Product.
I don't know if you want to get in there, but I think it's a real nice spot for Cincinnati this week, catching 2.5 against BYU at home.
Ooh, fading BYU.
I know. I think Cincinnati wins outright. I don't know what your model says.
That's what I'm looking at. Oh, only BYU -0.7. So it says take Cincy +2, which if you're going to bet a home dog +2, just bet them on the money line.
Correct.
Yeah, I may have to join you on that one. That's good. Handicapping the board. Again, 18 for LSU. Western Kentucky was +24 on the open. They're down to 21.5. Every line has moved in favor of this model, which tells me I'm doing something right, which is good because after 13 weeks of it, it should be. Ohio State -38.2 over Rutgers. Has that line moved? Rutgers started off the season great. Ohio State's playing for style points now. I don't think 31.5.
Yep. Opened at 33.5, now 31.5. I did find one more for you. And this one is Georgia Tech, we talked about, has Georgia next week.
Yeah.
At home, only 2.5 against Pitt. That's a Pitt number all day for me.
Yeah. I'm looking it up right now. Oh, that's why I've got it sorted by confidence. Georgia Tech. Yeah, we make Pitt the favorite 0.6 points. So it's close.
You're getting
So
two
if
and a
you like
half.
Georgia Tech, just bet it money line. If you like Pitt, bet it money line.
You're getting 2.5, and Georgia Tech's got Georgia next week. So
Yeah, I don't think the spread matters. But Pittsburgh's got Miami if you want to play that back and forth. I do think Pittsburgh responds, though, after getting embarrassed last week against Notre Dame. Plus, this ACC, they're just they hate being good. It's like the minute a team is like, all right, we're good, they go out and lay an egg.
Well, you got your hands tied. Make sure you tell Mr. Alvarez we said hello back east. We'll figure out if we're going to be able to sneak on Wednesday or we're going to have to push you back to Friday, Black Friday. Don't know if you'll be watching the kids while the wife goes out shopping or you'll be home or watching the football, but we'll figure that out. Of course, everyone knows here on X to go follow you at Grissom on X, and of course the NCAA Insiders. We'll be talking to Nick tomorrow as the Tennessee Vols coaching staff takes another hit.
Yeah, just cannot get up off the mat. It's terrible, but that means baseball is getting closer and it's becoming even more prominent when you get news stories, you get breaking news flashing across ESPN during football season. It's like, hey, yeah, college baseball still exists. Here's what's going on. I'm sure 90% of the country is going, who is Tony Vitello? You know, not knowing who in the world Tennessee Vols baseball is and whatever. But, you know, from our little corner of the world, it is exciting to see. And I have to touch on one more before Oregon USC. I think Oregon has finally established who they are, their identity. They got the scare at Iowa. They figured it out. They're a playoff team. They just have to take care of business. They go out, they completely dominate against Minnesota. Now they host USC. I think Oregon flexes here a little bit. I think it's a 2+ touchdown game.
If I told you of all the Oregon teams, this one just hasn't done it for me. I don't know why. I know they're good. I'm not saying, I'll take Texas Tech against them in a heartbeat. I keep going back to them. I think they're good, but they're not the Oregon Bo Nix. They're not that flashy. They got good defense. I guess what I'll say this year, Matt, is they got balance. How's that sound this year?
Yeah. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. They're 4th against the pass. They are 12th overall total defense, 19th offensively with the pass, 2nd in the running game. They're just a very sound football team. They're not as exciting as they used to be, but they're winning games and they're doing just enough. I think Dan Lanning's a fantastic coach too. That offense is 4th overall, 16th defense in drive adjusted efficiency, meaning when they get put in a position to score or keep opponents from scoring, can they? And I think at the end of the day, when all of those metrics spell out and they're all weighted to strength of schedule, it's all going to expose a lot of teams who take advantage of opportunities versus teams that don't. And there's a reason why this model is being successful and why it's kind of predicting a little differently than S&P and some other stuff. But yeah, I believe in it, and the model likes Oregon a lot. So we'll see how they shake up against this USC team.
Where can they find all your work, Matt?
At mattgrissom.com or Grissom on X. Follow me on Twitter. We're working on a website where you can get on and check out all these projections, but all the ratings and the matchups are all simulated through that mattgrissom.com Linktree site. So go check it out.
Tomorrow morning around 10:20, I'll be a guest with Andrew McGinnis at McGinnis Picks at Wager Talk, talking some NHL, some college football, maybe sprinkling some NFL there. And then 11 a.m., Nick Hathcote will be back to talk Notre Dame and his picks, Knicks Nuggets for the weekend. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only Mr. Matt Grissom at Grissom on X at NCAA Insiders. We wish everyone a blessed day. Enjoy yourself. Stay in your lanes, guys. Turkey season is coming.
Hey,
stay tuned.
Buffalo. Almost forgot. And I wore the shirt just to remind myself. If you teased the favorite and the under in every single Thursday night football game, it's 9-2.
So
Take
Buffalo to win and take the total and tease it up.
Buffalo, a 6-point teaser, under 49.5. Buffalo, pick 'em. It's easy. It's right in front of your face, stupid. Don't forget to bet it.
NFL tonight. Enjoy it. Stay tuned.